Nearly 4 years after the onset of the global financial crisis, economic prospects remain somber and challenging. Recovery of global employment remains the most pressing challenge. Despite moderate improvements in some countries, the slowdown of global growth in year 2011 and 2012 has posed new hurdles for employment creation.
Day 2 of the United Nations Economic and Social Council's 2012 high-level segment delivered strong and clear discussions on the state of the global economy, trends, forecasts, and policy options outlining what is needed, from tackling the root causes of financial instability to redesigning structural, national, and fiscal policy. During Tuesday's policy dialogue with the international financial and trade institutions on current developments in the world economy.
The situation is worsening. We are in what we call the synchronized global economic growth slowing down. The European economic growth is obviously going to be in a negative growth in a minor recession this year. And the US economy also slowing down. We just don't adjust the US economic growth for this year to 2%. And for next year, down adjusted 2.25%. And the U.S. just had the lowest manufacturing output in the past 3 years.
Protectionism is the worst way of protecting both jobs and industries. It's really the worst possible way, because once a country protects against another country exports, it is basically inviting a retaliation from that country, and we run the risk of being faced with a domino effect that will only get all countries worse off.
Experts warn that growth in major emerging economies is also slowing, with zero space for fiscal stimulus for low-income countries as wage levels drop with global unemployment levels. UNCTAD's Secretary General Supachai Panishpakdi warned that global output growth is expected to decelerate further this year to about 2.5%, and noted that even though commitments were made at the recent UN Conference on Sustainable Development, or Rio+20, he warned that there is no global mechanism to enforce commitments.
We think that only governance is effective when you have a small group of countries, group of economies determining the fate of the whole world, which is not possible. So we have to bring it back here and not to be saying, look, ECOSOC can't do it. Then we have to say, how can we do it? Because at the moment, the agenda that ECOSOC is trying to put up is the agenda of the world.
What the world needs at the moment is a bigger influence of developing countries on the global governance. And ECOSOC is one way of achieving that influence, but cooperation among all the international institutions is also part of that.
The big question today is, where is global governance? As UNCTAD pointed out, there are grave deficiencies in the way global governance is being practiced in determining our future. The topic of job creation to bolster fragile economic growth was also addressed in UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon's report for the annual ministerial review, which focuses on sparking employment and decent work to eradicate poverty and achieve the MDGs. The report calls for inclusive strategies that stimulate the labor market and globally coordinated and coherent macroeconomic policies to ensure that jobs are available for all of the world's people.
This precarious jobs situation is exacerbated by the uncertain nature and pace of economic recovery. We are facing a worldwide employment emergency.
Today's meetings also concluded with national voluntary presentations where representatives of a diverse group of countries from around the world described the strengths and weaknesses of the job market in their respective nations. Bringing in about 500 participants, ECOSOC's 2012 high-level segment will run through July 9th, concluding with a ministerial declaration as a final outcome. We'll have more coverage of ECOSOC's 2012 high-level segment, as Thursday's session will focus on future development cooperation. I'm Afaf Kanja for South News, New York.